Good day, everyone. Today, we are going to discuss to you about chapter 21 of this subject, and that is about forgetting. Before we proceed, my respect first to our dynamic and very considerate professor, Ma'am Nerissa Malco Beatriz. Hello, ma'am. Hope you're doing great. So, we are three in this topic. Let me introduce to all of you my co-discussant. First, of course, is yours truly, Mrs. Michelle de Arillas. Next is Mom Shelo C. Cañete. And the last one is Sir Jerry Bilbis. We are all from Balatan District. Now, let's move to my topic. Forgetting. Let me tell you first the meaning of forgetting. So, forgetting, basically, it is opposite of remembering. So, according to Moon, forgetting is the loss, permanent or temporary, of the ability to recall or recognize something learned earlier. According to Drever, forgetting means failure at any time to recall an experiences when attempting to do so or to perform an action previously learned. This is inability to recall the previously learned material. So forgetting has two kinds. So we have two kinds of forgetting. First is the normal forgetting, and the second one is the abnormal forgetting. So what are the causes of normal forgetting? Number one is entropy through disuse. So older experience, the weaker its memory. So when our experience is older, so the memory is also weaker. Number two is interference. Forgetting by interference is a case of retention amnesia. Here, stability and existence of memory traces are disturbed. Example of it is crowded learning and unspaced learning. Number three is retroactive and proactive inhibition. Inhibition means checking of causing to withhold. It has been found that if one period of learning is A, is immediately followed by the another effort of learning B, which is similar material when any one of them has to be recalled. Number four, if the learning is not meaningful, forgetting occurs as it does not give scope for the development of relationship. Number five, inadequate impressions at the time of learning leads to forgetting. That is true. Lack of interest, number six, lack of interest in learning material leads to forgetting. So if we are not interested in one thing, so the tendency is to forget it. Number seven is the mental or physical ill health sets in physical and mental fatigue and affects learning. So, di ba po, when we are mentally or physically ill or we are mentally fatigued, it affects the learning and all the things that in our memory. Number eight, motivated forgetting. Unpleasant events are to be forgotten soon to participate in the present. So when we are participating in a present event, all the past events, we forget it. So that's all the causes of the normal forgetting. So let's now move to abnormal forgetting. So these are the causes of abnormal forgetting. Abnormal forgetting happens because some of unusual conditions when recall is completely blocked. So it may result due to severe injury and repression of experiences having guilt, shame, or frustration. So sometimes when when a person has experienced bad experience like may guilt, may shame or frustration siya, the tendency is to forget that experience. So those are the causes of abnormal forgetting. So that ends my topic. But before we proceed to the next discussant, let me read this quotes about forgetting. It's ironic how we often forget the things worth remembering, but remember the things worth forgetting. Totoo naman po talaga. So that's all. Thank you for listening. So the next topic is theories of forgetting. This will discussed to us by Mom Shelo C. Cañete.
Thank you, Ma'am Michelle. To our gorgeous and kind-hearted professor, Ma'am Nerissa Beatriz, my dear classmate, good day. I am teacher Shallow, and I am here to discuss the theories of forgetting. Are you still with us? That's great. All of us sometimes have felt frustrated, dismayed, and even embarrassed when our memories have failed us. We even think of it several times, but we cannot remember exactly what it is. We usually say that it's already in the tip of our tongue, but we cannot say it. But there are several reasons why forgetting occurs. To explain how forgetting happens, psychologists have created different theories of forgetting. Let's check them one by one. So first is the displacement theory of forgetting. When we say displacement theory, it describes how forgetting works in a short-term memory. According to Schifrin and Atkinson's model of memory, short-term memory has a limited capacity and can only hold a small amount of information up to about 7 items at one time. So, 'di ba, when we say short-term memory, it is the capacity of our mind for holding a small amount of information in an active or readily available state for a short period of time. So for example po, inutusan tayo ng ating magulang or ng ating kapatid na magpa-load. So we learn the 7-digit phone number. Then binigyan ulit tayo ng isa pang phone number to memorize. 'Di ba the tendency ay makakalimutan po natin yung first 7-digit na phone number or yung unang information. So bakit po yun nang yayari? So again, in the displacement theory of forgetting, the forgetting occurs po in our short-term memory. And our short-term memory doesn't have the capacity to store both information. So in order for us to recall the new information, we'll have to forget the first one. So according to Miller, once the memory is full, new information will replace the old one. Second is the trace decay theory. The trace decay theory was formed by American psychologist Edward Thorndike in 1914, based on the early memory works by Hermann Ebbinghaus. So according to my research, Hermann is the first psychologist who studied the theory of forgetting. According to this theory, forgetting occurs because of the fading of the memory traces as a result of lack using the stored item for a long period. So for easiest explanation about the trace decay theory, if we don't access the memories, they will fade over time. So for example, we learned a new word pero hindi naman siya natin ginagamit. So the tendency is that it may fade away in our memory. Next is the interference theory of forgetting. The interference theory was the dominant theory of forgetting throughout the 20th century. It asserts the ability to remember can be disrupted both by our previous learning and by new information. In essence, we forget because memories interfere with and disrupt one another. So, in interference theory of forgetting, forgetting is the result of different memories interfering with one another. So, diba, it is difficult for us to remember what happened in one month because there are so many other days have occurred. Pero kung sa buwan na yon ay may unique or distinctive events like graduation, birthdays, and any other special occasion, ay madali natin siyang matandaan at mas less siyang mangyayari itong interference theory of forgetting. So for example pa dito ay yung kapag tinanong tayo what we have ate for the breakfast sa isang linggo, di ba hindi natin siya ma-recall-recall? Interference also plays a role in what is known as the serial possession effect, or the tendency to recall the first and last item of a list. So for example naman po dito, let's imagine that we wrote down a shopping list, but we forgot to take it to the store. In all likelihood, we will probably be able to easily recall the first and last item in our list. But we might forget many of the items that were wrote in the middle part. So yun po yung tinatawag na serial possession effect, which we remember yung nasa first and last item, but we forgot in the middle part. So the first study on the interference was conducted by German psychologist John A. Bergstorm in 1892. We also have two types of interference theory of forgetting. First is the retroactive interference and second, proactive interference. Let's talk about two types of interference. So we have proactive interference and retroactive interference. So when we say proactive interference, it occurs when previously learned information makes it more difficult to form new memories. So dahil sa old or previous memories or information na meron tayo, kaya nahihirapan tayong alalahanin ang new information or memories. So for example, pinalitan natin ang locker combination natin. So 'di ba may tendency na yung old password or dating combination pa rin ang nailalagay natin kasi familiar na yon sa atin. So when we say naman retroactive interference, it happens when newly acquired information interferes with old memories. So for example dito, a teacher learning the names of her class of students at the start of a school year might find it more difficult to recall the names of the student in her class last year. So dito naman sa retroactive interference, mas natatandaan yung bagong information at yung nakakalimutan na is yung old memories or information. So again, in proactive interference, dahil sa old memories, kaya nahihirapan tayong alalahanin ang new information or memories. Pero dito naman kay retroactive interference, yung bagong memories or information ang mas naaalala at yung unti-unti nang nakakalimutan ay yung old or previously learned information. So last is the repression theory. So let's try first to define what is repression. So according to Sigmund Freud, it is the unconscious forgetting of traumatic events, feelings, thoughts, because they are too painful to remember. So sa word pa lang po na repression, we can say or makikita na natin na dito napupunta yung mga memories na ayaw na nating balik-balikan or gusto na nating kalimutan. So, according dito, the repression theory, it is a defensive mechanism that painful items are thrown into unconscious mind and the person does not wish to remember them. So, paano siya nagiging defensive mechanism? So, kasi dito, kinakalimutan na natin yung sa tingin natin na makakasakit sa atin. So again, ito yung mga memories na ayaw na nating balik-balikan. Memories na napupush out of consciousness into the unconscious dahil mahirap at masakit pa siyang alalahanin. So that's all about the theories of forgetting. To discuss the techniques for effective memorization, let's welcome our handsome and kind-hearted groupmates, Sir Jerry Belbeth. And to finally end my slide, forget what hurts you, but never forget what it taught you. Thank you.
Good morning to our dynamic and gorgeous professor, Ma'am Nerissa M. Beatriz, to my virtual classmates, a pleasant day to all of you. Our group is assigned to discuss about the forgetting. I'm Mr. Jerry Bilbis of Balatan District, together with Ma'am Michelle De Arillas and Ma'am Shilo Cordoba Cañete, all of Balatan District. Repeated recitation. Recite what you have learned to yourself. Silent recitation will make you remember past lesson. Overlearning. It means that if you wish not to forget what you have learned already, continue to reviewing it now and then. Memorizing. It is the act or process of committing something to memory. It is a mental process undertaken in order to store in memory for later recall visual. The current term emphasizes on written exam and memorization encourages what is referred to bitterly by many educators as teaching to the test. Space practice. This strategy of studying in which a relaxation or rest period is allotted in between a schedule or studying. Selection. It is difficult to remember all the notes written in your notebook or textbooks, which you can use to summarize your idea. There are some techniques to be effective in memorizing. There are chunking, mnemonic, methods of Lucy, flashcard, rhyming, storytelling or linking, and mnemonic pig system. Chunking. It refers to the process of taking individual pieces of information and grouping them into larger groups, or remember larger numbers in smaller chunks. Example, the way people memorize telephone number. By grouping its data point into a larger whole, you can improve the amount of information you can remember. Probably, the most common example of chunking occurs in phone number. Next is mnemonic. Mnemonic, a device that has a pattern of letters, ideas, or association that assist in remembering something. For example, PEMDAS. This is for the orders of operation in mathematics. We can learn and analyze by using these techniques in the parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Next is the methods of Lossy. Using memory device. It is a memory enhancement techniques that combines visualization with spatial memory or familiar environments, rather in order to quickly recall information. For example is the RGB, which is the color spectrum. Of all the memory techniques, this one is the most common acronyms memorization techniques, which is red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. Next is a flashcards. A card containing a small amount of information helps us for students see as an aid to learning. Good for specific facts, shuffle cards, and recite out loud. Put a question on one side and the answer on the other side. For example, is the math flashcard. Using this is a valuable tool for memorization because they allow students to be able to test themselves. It is convenient to bring with. It can also utilize the audible side as well as the visual side of the brain. Next is rhyming. It is a correspondence and terminal sounds of units of composition or utterance. Example is a nursery rhymes. Maybe just be one of the easiest memorization techniques that putting information into a rhyme is another way of making it easier to remember. They are so easy. Even little kids can remember this. Next, the storytelling or linking. It is a vivid description of ideas, beliefs, personal experiences, and life lessons through stories or narrative that evoke powerful emotion and insights. Example of this is dramatic storytelling. There are so many storytelling that we can use to have effective memorizing. Can use storytelling in subject, storytelling for students, storytelling for presentation, storytelling for creative, storytelling for digital, storytelling for business, and storytelling persuade. Okay, next is the mnemonic pig system. A mnemonic pig system is a memory aid that works by creating mental association between the two concrete objects in a one-to-one fashion that will later be applied to be remembered information. For example, is 1 is a band, 2 is a shoe. If the pigs system are the rhyming pairs, the first item to be remembered would be associated with the band. And the second one is a shoe. So there are some other types of mnemonic system. One is the spelling, the features, note organization, alliteration, songs, visualization, chaining, and acoustic. So maybe we can use these techniques to make the pupils and students to be active of their memorizing. Okay, that's all. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.